In this tutorial, you'll learn how to make this wall wipe transition. The difficulty level is a 4 out of 5. While it may look simple, there's actually quite a lot of masking, layering, and keyframing that needs to be done, and you'll see why very soon. And the techniques used include video layering, masking, and keyframing. The app that we're going to use to demonstrate is CapCut, although of course you can also do this in VN Video Editor. Here are some examples of how to apply it to your niche. Pause to read, and let's get into the tutorial. So there are two ways to make a wall wipe transition. The first way is a simple way that is similar to the last elevator transition, where you wipe through a wall, you go really close to the wall, and you cover the screen entirely, you blur the screen, and also you then connect it to a next clip. So you crop it here, trim it here, and then you start the next clip where you also cover the entire screen and blur it out, and then continue out here. So this is the easiest way to do a wall wipe between one wall and another wall. So just to quickly demonstrate, I'm going to put this into CapCut and show you how I would edit it. So you can see how we go through and it covers it entirely right around here. So I would crop it off there, and then in the next shot I would start right when it starts moving again and the whole screen is covered. So the end result would look something like this.
Edit like a pro. Wait, you don't?
And if I wanted to, I would probably also match this person, this subject, in size and position with the next one, like roughly like so, right?
Like a pro. Wait, you don't have.
So that's how you can do a simple wipe transition between two walls, which is just like how you would do an elevator transition. But today's demonstration clips are a little bit different. So you'll notice that it doesn't actually go super close to the wall. Now this was just the way that we filmed it. We didn't go close enough to the wall where you can just trim one clip and add another. And so we're going to have to use some masking concepts as well as keyframing to animate some of the walls in, right? So you can see that this here, if the videographer went really close to the wall, it would blur out the frame, and then you can probably continue it from the next scene where you also start really close to the wall and then come out of the wall. But he did not here. It's far away, so you can see the whole wall and the texture and the color and everything. And you can also see him come out in the mirror here. And also in this next one, this texture and this color and everything is totally different. And so in order to connect these, how do we do it? What is the best way? So that's what we'll be demonstrating in this tutorial. So let's start a new project in CapCut. Let's add all the clips into the timeline. Let's also go to photos. I put a little black frame. It's like a 9x16 black frame in photos, and this is meant to be just a placeholder. So let's add that. All right, so the first thing we want to do is start trimming the clips to when the motion starts. I'm gonna split it and delete the first part. Find the part where the motion ends, tap on the clip, split, and delete it. Same thing here, look for the start of the motion right here. Split and delete. And then it finishes here, and we will split and delete. Start somewhere here, split, delete. Also this one, split, delete the first part, split, delete the end part. And of course there's just a little add at the end, we can delete it. And so now what we're going to do is treat each of the clips because they're not very consistent in color. This one looks kind of green, so I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna adjust the color. So we go to filters, adjust, or you can go directly to adjust here, and let's change the hue. So I want to make it a bit more pink like this, and this one I am a bit dark, so I'm going to go into adjust, and I'm going to bring up the shadows a little bit, maybe bring down the highlights, and I'm going to just add some contrast. Maybe I can try the brilliance as well, see if that works. Now it looks a little like it could be a bit warmer in temperature, so I'm going to adjust the temperature a little bit as well. And I think that looks good. And now we can go here and adjust this. I'm going to just increase the brightness a little. Maybe increase the shadow just a little bit. All right. Much better, right? Now I'm a lot brighter than before. Okay, last clip, I think the color looks fine, but one thing I do want to point out is that if I were to refilm this, I would definitely refilm it so that the subject is always roughly the same size and in the same place in the frame. So you can see that this one, we start with the subject being towards the middle upper part of the frame, whereas this one, we're on the bottom part of the frame. This one we're kind of in the middle and we're smaller, and then this one we're in the middle towards the bottom. So they're all quite inconsistent, you know. Although if you make a clean wall wipe, it won't matter too much where you're standing, but it would be nice to match it, and that would just be bringing in the concept of match cutting. So what I'm gonna do is probably only adjust this clip a little bit, just bring it down. So I'm gonna pinch and zoom, crop in, and then just bring it down so that at least it's not so high up in the frame, it's more in the center. Maybe for this one I will just pinch a little bit and then move it up so that they at least, you know, match a little bit better. Also, I do feel like this clip went by really fast. Like I barely got a few seconds on the subject, so I'm gonna go into speed. And I'm just going to speed it down by maybe 20%, so to 80% of the original speed. That looks a bit nicer. Okay, great. So now everything is looking good together. Now we're going to create layers so that we can mask each clip. Let's first play it through, because I actually think for this first clip and the second clip, it's actually, the textures are actually so similar between the two walls that you could potentially not have to mask it and just trim it and they'll connect well. I think this can be seamless enough where we don't have to mask it, but look at the next clip because the videographer shows in the mirror. So we're going to have to create a mask and overlay this clip on top of this clip and then mask it out and come into this clip. So let's make this an overlay by tapping on overlay. Now you notice that this clip, this bottom clip has now moved forward in the timeline. This is why we need a placeholder, because we want to drag the placeholder to the front here so that this one connects well in the timeline with this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, create a mask, and animate it from the left of the frame and move it at the same speed as the frame of this mirror moves out, and then move it out of the frame so that it will delete the part where the videographer shows in the mirror and then go seamlessly into this next clip. So let's go to the beginning where you want to place the mask. Let's zoom in on the timeline a bit more so we can be more precise. Tap on the clip, and then now go to mask. We want to use the horizontal one, and let's feather it a little bit and just turn it with your two fingers on the line and turn it to 90 degrees. And then move it all the way to the left of the frame. Now what you want to do is add a keyframe, because you want to animate the mask, right? You want to animate it from here, this is the starting, and then move it out. So now that you have a keyframe, as you move along, remember to go back to mask and have the mask selected. Now you can see the mask showed up. You can just move it along like this. And just keep moving it as the mirror moves out until you completely move it out. Now you notice that the mask is always present here. You can see that it has this little feather. So what you want to do is you can just trim the clip, split the clip here, go to the first clip, go to mask, and just remove that mask. So no mask here. So you don't have that kind of feather on the edge of your clip. So now you have masked this so that as the wall moves along, the mask also covers the videographer in the mirror. So you'll notice that it's black. And it's black because our placeholder in the bottom is a black frame. So you just want to trim this, maybe roughly here, so that this clip is what shows up below the top clip, like this. So then it goes like this. It wipes through nicely. And you can also just go in and really make sure that the keyframes are moving at the right pace. So for example, I think maybe it's moving a bit slow because we can still see a little bit of the mirror. You can just go into mask and just make sure the mask is moving fast enough to cover the whole of the mirror, okay? Like this. That looks pretty good. And then it reveals this video on the bottom layer. So let's play that back real quick. So then you went from two clips that don't connect together to a wall that gets wiped through. Okay, so now we want to connect this clip with this clip. So what we're gonna do, instead of using this wall to wipe, let's use this wall and animate the wall in so that it looks like a continuation of wipe. Now, if that sounds confusing, don't worry. I'm going to show you what I mean. So the first thing we want to do is add it to an overlay. We want to drag it to this layer, okay, top layer, like this, okay. And in case you need to change the order of the layer, you can also go into layer, and 2 means it's on the top, right? Because there's 2 layers overlapping. Okay, so you can see how we go from this clip, and then we have a wall, and then the cameraman starts moving and creating this motion of wiping through that wall. So what we're going to do now is we're going to animate the wall in. So let's pick the part where it starts moving and start there, right here. Start there with a keyframe. Then let's add another keyframe to the beginning, and let's just move this wall out of the frame. So what happens now is that when you play it, the wall gets animated in, right? So it looks like a wipe, but really what happened is we animated the wall into the frame. So let's play it over like this, okay? Now notice that it has these harsh edges and it doesn't look natural at all. So we're gonna go in and we're gonna add a mask. I'm gonna feather it out, okay? So let's go in. Let's go to mask and choose horizontal. Just move the mask like this. Add a feather. Now let's take a quick look. Okay, in this keyframe it is still a horizontal mask, so let's move that and let's feather it, and then let's move it forward. So now you have a mask that is feathered. Right here we want to remove the mask because you can see it creates this feather on the edge if you keep the mask. So what we're going to do again is split like we did before, and then just tap on this one where you want to remove the mask, go into mask and select none. So now you can see there's no weird feather on the right edge of the frame. So what we have done is we have animated the wall in, we have feathered the edge. That looks pretty decent. Okay, let's play it from here. I think we can have the wall come in a little faster because right now it's a little slow. So people can kind of see the feathered edge. So I'm going to remove this keyframe and add a keyframe closer in the timeline and just redo the animation. Okay, that looks better in terms of speed. Let's trim the first part. Okay, So now it looks like this. That looks pretty good. And that's how you can, by adding keyframes, animate a wall to make it look like it's a wipe, when in reality, you animated the wall in. Okay, so now let's play it from the beginning. Okay, I noticed a little glitch right here. Right here. Oop, something is wrong here. And it looks like this layer should be on the bottom. And if we zoom in on the timeline, this layer is on the bottom here. So if you just go into layer, you can see that it's on the bottom because it's one, order layers. And it looks like there's a part here where it overlaps with this clip. And let's go into layer. And yes, so the layer order is wrong. So we move it to 1, and that's how we correct these little glitches. So let's play again. That looks pretty good. Now what we want to do is we want to loop the video. So we don't really want to start the scene with this, right? It's not very aesthetic. Now, if you watched lesson 7 on how to seamlessly create a loop, you know that we want to find the scene that you want to start the first shot with, and then split that clip into half and move the first part towards the end. So that's what we're gonna do. So let's drag that to the end. So now you can see the clip is at the end right here. However, what has happened is that these overlays need to be moved forward in the timeline. So let's move it forward. Now that everything is in the right place in the timeline, what we want to do is now animate this wall to move out of the frame, and then it will continue into this scene. So let's take a look. We can go from here. Let's add a mask and then animate the mask out as the videographer is wiping out of this wall. So one thing I kind of want to do is, because we have a keyframe here and we have another mask, I just don't want whatever we add here to affect the previous mask. So I'm going to split the clip here, and so that whatever we do will only affect this tiny little clip. So now let's go in and add a mask, horizontal, turn it vertical, add some feather, and move it all the way out. Let's figure out where we want to start having the mask animate. So let's add a keyframe. And then as we go, it moves along with the wall and reveals the bottom layer, like so. Okay, that could work. We may just need to adjust the bottom layer, add some more frames to it. Maybe we need to add some more feather so it looks more natural. Let's feather this even more. Let's feather this, feather this. So let's take a look. Okay, so it looks like we need to trim this, and we need to move the mask so that it doesn't reveal the black placeholder in the bottom. So go to mask and just move it out of the frame like this. Okay, I think that looks better. What we can do also is we can move the placeholder so that it doesn't really overlap with the top layer. And we can increase this. So now we have masked this red layer, which is the top layer, so that the mask moves across like this to reveal the bottom layer where we are wiping in from the wall. And then it should repeat seamlessly. Okay, let's take a look at the whole clip. Okay, that works. So now all we have to do is export it.